Alright, so we're going to start corner trim. I was going to go through this with you guys and hopefully it helps. And first off, we have protective film we're going to peel off. We will show you how to prep your skew cut for the side of this trim that's going to go up the end walls. Also, the reason why I like to pre-drill my screw line, and then how I work the trim, the corner trim up against our eave trim or soffit trim that's on the wall. I run that eave trim, you'll see it, I'll run it long and then use that as a flat edge to make sure that this corner trim ends up flat and straight up there. A lot of times back in the day, we just put the corner trim on first and then put our eave trim over that, and it would end up crooked. Pre-drilling these out on your screw lines, it basically helps you control your line that you want to achieve, and I'll show you that too. So first off, what I do is I'll use a knife, because this film goes all the way over into the hem. I just kind of grip it like this and I'll run it all the way down both sides. I'll do it, I usually do both first, and then I'll get this started with my knife. And you might be saying, you know, that's scratching the trim. It's really just a little score you're doing. It's not really gonna be seen or start rusting. I've never had a complaint. So long story short, we go all the way down, we peel these, and then we'll flip this over, get this started. It's easier without gloves, but you just get this started on the main area of the trim. Once you get it all going, it will peel off pretty easily. So that's the first step. And now the second step is measuring out my screw line. If you need to decide what is top and bottom, I know I had to make this trim 5.5 on this face and it's 4 on this face for it to work with what we did on this building. But usually you just get a 4 and a 4, and it doesn't matter what side's top and bottom. But if you end up getting a difference, you'll have to determine what side's top and bottom. So I'm going to pull down there. My screw line on this building is 2 inches on the base and then 3 feet up each screw line. So that's what I'm going to do. Next step is pre-drilling, and this is something I highly suggest if you have a gun with this quick release. We call them mini impacts, but I get this drill bit, goes right in quick. We call them pilot bits, and we use them for riveting an 1/8 inch rivet for trim, which we do a lot on this job. And also it's 9/64. I'm gonna actually make a tool list so you guys have that available. Another option too that I've done in the past is I'll stack these. I'll just mark them and I'll drill through a couple, maybe 3 at a time. I'm just doing 1 at a time, being careful. So next step is you get your sidewall height measurement, which is my big 5.5 inch side, and I know that's 137 inches. So I'll mark that. And then on the 4-inch side, it's going up the hill for a skew with pitch. And I know that it's roughly 22 degrees. Use my square to get that angle. Just carry it through. Also crucial, reds and greens, aviation snips. These get confusing. These are also called rights. The reds, rights, greens. This shear is going to pull material up and this one down. So if you're trying to cut through a piece and get it out of the way, that's, you go right and left. But for this, I have a break right here, and I'm going to flip them so this material will push down when I use my reds on the left side. Then greens. And I'll bend this down a little bit. I'll continue with my greens. Switch over to reds. I'll make a little cut over to my line side of my greens, and I'll lift this up to get access, and then it switches to traditional lefts and rights. So, but like I was saying, those inside shears are pulling the material up out of your way. So you can continue cutting. And then we can just keep going this way, or you can start from the other side, the hem side of this piece. But the other thing too is I flip my, instead of holding them like this sometimes, if you flip them over, they make a factory cut. Cleaner cut, in other words. So I'll just keep going with my greens there, and if you just get extra trim before you start committing to cuts, and you want to see how these, you flip them over this way, see what looks cleaner, you'll know what I'm saying. There's a serrated edge when you actually use them the way they tell you to, lefts and rights. So if you want to have a clean cut, you just flip them over or cut backwards. See, I think you could see that serrated edge. But this is, again, getting covered by trim. And if I'm wanting to actually make it clean, I can take off a little bit more and there's no serrated edge there. So now that we have it all prepped, pre-drilled, cut, you can see behind me I already did one. It looks super clean, nice and straight with the little minor ribs right here. That's what we usually shoot for, and that goes into layout too on your wall panel, making sure you're straight with your steel line. But I always try to get really close to these parallel lines, these little minor ribs, the high ribs, all that. And that's what really helps your building stand out and look clean. And I will turn this camera around and show you the end result here and how we got to that on the other side. But the main goal here is when you have E-trim or soffit trim, you want to become flat. You don't want there to be big gaps. I don't level anything, I just go off of what the reveals are giving me. So when we go to stick this one we just prepped in, you'll see, and I'll get a close-up too when I have it up there. I left that trim long, and I'm going to follow the flat of that trim coming off the sidewall so that it looks like the other side. And again, traditionally we work, you know, we put these corners on beforehand, and a lot of times you think, oh, I gotta screw the bottom in, make that square. Sometimes it doesn't give you that. I'd rather have my trim flush out up there, become flat, rather than having a perfect corner, you can see this one isn't completely square with the corner, but I feel like the real detail is up here. So I would commit to that over that. All right, so we're about to place this trim, and you'll see it's not hard just to get it tucked back in there. Run it all the way up. Make sure you're clearing your bottom trim, and then you set it down. Pretty self-explanatory. And then I'll get up there, and you can see already it's wanting to have a gap there, and I'll set the top this side first. I'll push it out so it's flat, screw it in right there, and then work my way down. Last time I set this screw, and I just determined, okay, I want it to be here, and I pre-drilled this again with that 964, so this panel won't flex on me and become off my line that I wanted to keep. And that's really, you work one side and you work the other side down. Just push this over, and it's flat. Screw it in there, and then work from there, like I was saying, down. Then I'll go to this side. I'll probably hit this one low and not try to get up high there, and then match my reveal up and fasten it down low, fill in the rest. And remember, don't over tighten your screws. Just get it to where that trim sucks up to the panel. Right there, that's all it needs. I'll start rippling the trim. It's all nice and flat. Okay, now we're gonna trim back the soffit eave trim. And I basically will just run my snips. For this side, it's my reds. I'll just follow that edge of the corner. And then I'm also gonna relief cut it right here. Make sure I have more than enough for my other piece that's gonna match and go up the rake. Easy enough. I'm gonna use my reds again, clean this up a little bit. I think last time I went like this to get this fin out of the way. And that way, when I run my other piece, I'll run it long, make some marks on the back of it so I can make that angle cut. Also mark what I want to do for a little miter cut here that will slip onto this trim. I'll cut this back one more time, probably get rid of this little lip with my snips, and then that's done.